hope everybody had a good week. How was your week, CW?
It was a good week. It went real fast. I got a bunch of videos done. I got a bunch of work done here at the house, fiddling with different gun stuff, reloading room stuff. Got a little bit of reloading done. Got a trip to the range in. I got some sinkers made for fishing season coming up. We use some really big ones, 16, 18, 12 ounces. So lots and lots and lots of lead. Got all those formed up. It was a pretty good week. Hillbilly, how was your week?
Oh man, it was a pretty good week. I had a good time anyhow. Yeah, did some. Finally stopped raining yesterday, and so got some stuff outside done. But just basically been doing some videos and some live streaming, and just having a great time with this community for sure. Oh man, Walter, what have you been up to, buddy? How's your week?
Oh, I've had some good times over the last week. Thursday, week ago Thursday, I went up camping with some of my older motorcycle riding buddies from way back. We were on the Kern River, east of Bakersfield, home of Mario Mosine. And then I took off by myself over to Death Valley for a couple days and went out and visited some of my old stomping grounds out there. I spent a lot of time out in Death Valley. And then this week I got back in, got to the range one day, and spent most of the day going nowhere, spinning my wheels with that infernal new Lee press. I'm going to throw in the towel with that press.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I'm done with that thing. Turn it into a paddle wheel or something. I don't know. But I'm not making any progress with that. But anyway, other than that, got some other stuff set up. I got to get some casting done this weekend and some loading done. I'm out of my 9mm bullet that I like, and I'm out of my 40 Smith & Wesson bullet that I like. So I got to cast up piles of them. So
is that the same press shooter Texan is using?
No, he, instead of the one I got it, he was talking to me about it. I got Lee's new, they call it the ultimate turret press. And so it's a turret, the top goes around. Okay, he got the Lee Pro 6000 6-pack, and that's like any other progressive press. The bottom goes around and the dies stay fixed on top. And he got that up and running pretty good. In fact, I was just before the show, he put out another video with that one, and he seems to like that. And those two presses run about the same money, and that progressive is better than the turret by a long shot. It's still got Lee priming, stuff on it, which I don't like either. But but anyway, yeah, I'm ready to get casting and loading and shooting again. Jason, what have you been doing over there, buddy?
Oh, I'm glad to hear all of you had a good week. I apparently suffered and paid the price, so you all could. But I'm glad the week's over. Start the weekend fresh. Glad to hang out with all of you tonight, man. Look forward to learning something from your shotgun conversation. And I got a few questions tonight. So, learn a little bit of reloading.
Good deal.
We love it. And Pat in the bunker just fell off in a ditch somewhere.
He's out planting himself or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
he was having trouble. There's Chico.
Yeah, Chico Wise he wants to know what bullet you're talking about. Millimeter, I think.
Sorry to hear you had a rough week, Jason.
Man, you can't have good times if you don't have bad times.
That's the truth.
Okay. Yeah, Chico, the 9mm bullet that I like the best is the Lyman 356 402, and the 40 Smith & Wesson is a Lee 401 145 SWC. Lightweight bullet for 40 Smith & Wesson, but boy, it shoots good. Both of them do. That Lyman bullet, that 402 Lyman, good 9mm bullet.
I got that. I'm loading up some of those bullets. You remember the mold you sent me, the high tech
The NOE mold?
NOE?
Yeah.
I cast up a bunch of those. I sized half of them at 358 for 38, 357, and then the other half I sized at 357 uh, for 9mm. And so, yeah, that's. I'm fixing to try some of those out. And before you start CW, it's a flat point. It's got as big a meat plat as you can get on a 9mm. So
Good.
and I also sized it at 357 as opposed to 356 because I want it to not tumble. Yeah, there's that. So what should we do first? You want to get into shotguns or you want to get into Jason's questions? I kind of want to hear Jason's questions. What about y'all?
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, let's go there.
All right, guys. Well, I appreciate my first question is just the first process where I'm at. I got my rifle ammunition for 6.5 Creedmoor. I just brought it home and I ultrasonic cleaned it, and I cleaned them ready to go. I'm gonna anneal a brass. So like before I started doing it, I got the question: is it okay to anneal it now and then size it whenever in the future, or should I wait to anneal it closer to the time period that I'm gonna size it? Or does it matter? Or would it be any benefit to size it when it's a little bit warm?
You can anneal it anytime, whatever fits your fancy. It's gonna serve the same purpose.
Okay, cool.
I anneal my 6.5 Creedmoor right after I deprime it, Jason, before I even clean it.
Okay, well that's what I'll do next then. It might even be a few more weeks or a month before I size it. But I'll go ahead and get them annealed up. See how that goes.
If
All you're
you're
doing is softening up that brass. That's the whole point. You're wanting to not work hard in it.
if you're expecting nice, pretty colors on the brass, you're gonna probably want to clean it first, because if you've got powder residue, debris, junk on the brass, it's going to affect how it looks, if that matters to you. If you're going to clean it after you anneal it, you're going to wash all that off anyway, so it's not going to matter.
Yeah, I got them pretty clean just by washing at the moment, and that'll serve me for a while. But once I get to the final stage, after it's sized and trimmed or whatever it needed, I'll probably put them back in a tumbler, polish them up a little bit, get the lube off of them.
Sometimes I'll get some really green, blue, iridescent flames coming out of the brass if it's fired cases not cleaned, because you've got some powder residue, so it's burning the powder residue off, and you just get different things happening. So some people who are newer at it might be a little nervous about what they're seeing, which is the biggest reason that I said clean it first.
I was actually pretty surprised at this is my first bolt action rifle, so everything, always handguns for me. I was actually pretty surprised at how clean the brass was coming out of that rifle, and how easily it cleaned up just ultrasonic.
Yeah, some powders are cleaner than others, and some loads are cleaner than others. There's lots of stuff going on that can make for dirty cases, or for clean ones.
Yeah, I've got my hands dirty just taking some bullets out of the box before.
Well, howdy, y'all. Sorry I'm late.
How was your week, bud?
Week was good. We're we're in that first week of May, and we can see the light at the end of the tunnel. Everybody's in a pretty good mood. Been plenty busy. Seth had a couple of things this week with track and testing at school, and he had another test at his Taekwondo class. So we made a quick run out to the airsoft store tonight to get some supplies for tomorrow. We're going to go play a little bit. So it's been a good one.
Good deal.
Well, we're glad you're here.
Yeah, you probably only have what, 2 more weeks before you begin your period of glorious unemployment.
Yep.
Nice.
And enjoying the hell out of it.
2 more weeks before he has to find a good paying job.
Yeah, I don't have one now. Why should I start?
Right. You're used to it.
Yeah.
Overworked and underpaid. Why change?
Yeah, that's what I meant. Like, whatever, man, it stinks so bad that our teachers are not paid more than what they are, man. That just blows my mind.
Some of them don't deserve what they get, bro.
It's true.
There are those.
Some of them ain't worth their salt. But what I know, I'm just a Chromebook fixer guy. So there's that. I used to be a copier mechanic, but that's when they decided they were going to change my career. But so, Jason, I've got to where I anneal my 6.5 Creedmoor brass after every firing.
Okay. I just figured I would. I wanted to do it. It's my first firing. I got an annealer. I got the EP annealer, and I'm just ready to use it. See what happens. The only thing I've had a lot of thoughts of disappointment about the trip there to Tennessee. On one hand, due to the weather conditions, I kind of satisfied with my results. But on the other hand, what really bothers me is I'm really mad at myself about the whole thing. I didn't put the effort in that I wanted to. I just found that I every shot that I took, even though I had good results, my concentration, my effort, my focus just wasn't there. I don't believe I practiced any form of nice trigger control out of any of my shots. I just had a lot going on. The weather, everything you guys know is there. Like I said, my results came out that, not disappointing, but I'm actually disappointed in myself. I knew I could do much, much better. I saw you and Chico, Jamie. I saw you and Chico shoot my rifle a little bit, and we're shooting it and grouping it better than I was. So I'm glad that my rifle worked. My equipment, my rifle, everything worked flawless. I was really happy with that. I was just really disappointed in my effort, and because my techniques and inexperience and my effort is starting to worry me about running a load data or running my own load, figuring something out right now. I think I just need a lot more experience, a lot more practice. I'm pretty much going to start out just trying to duplicate something close into the area of the factory ammo I was shooting until I can just fine tune my skills a little more. I don't think it would be worth it at this point unless I knew I had good focus, good effort to start doing ladder loads and chasing stuff down, because I think my techniques and my ability is the X factor here. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if I would be chasing down a good load or a bad load just because of my poor shooting. So I just want to get some things going, reload, get the hang of it, get a lot more experience on my rifle. I did bring home some usable data with my speeds and what they were doing at long range and my dope for my scope. I did get useful data from that, even though it was windy. So I was happy about that. I just really disappointed in the actual effort that I gave behind each shot. So I'm just that'll give me more encouragement to get down there pretty soon in the future and put some more concentration and effort into it.
You had a lot. You had a lot on your plate, and you had a lot going on, and a lot on your mind, I'm sure. So don't beat yourself up too much. But all the trigger time, all the experiences is always good. Even bad experiences are good because you learn from them. So it's you did fine.
Yeah, I know. Not too bragging. Like, I did pull off a couple 1 MOAs at 1,000 yards in that wind, but I just know that I knew what I did on those shots, and I would say even knowing and telling myself to do better, I was still giving 75-80% effort and concentration. I know I could just do better. That's not normally who I am. I'm much more laser focused and in the groove behind a gun or a rifle. And it was just one of those bad range days where, I wasn't putting in the effort that I should have to just satisfy myself. So, like I said, that's encouragement for the next trip. Be a little more focused. I think next time I'm going to have actual written checklist of things that I've always been thinking about that I thought of the whole time leading up to this trip. And then you get there at the range and you forget every bit of it. So I'm just going to try to keep learning my own way, trying to learn the best I can and keep some sort of a high standard.
Dude, I'm telling you, man, you're beating yourself up. Look, I was there, guys. I'm telling you, in spite of everything, Jason said he had the second best group on the day. He shot a 1.37 MOA group at 1,000 yards in 30-mile-an-hour wind.
Oh, and I shot a 1.1.
Okay, that's even
I didn't
better.
find that picture till later, but I had a lot of. I would try to string some out. I got one that was a 10-shot string, but it ended up being like a over 2 MOA on it. You know how hard it is, man. You could drop two shots right on top of each other, and then that third one just don't do it. You know what I mean? I ran into that so many times, and that's one of the things I got to get over, that third shot or the fourth and fifth shots. I got to do better on those.
I tell you, man, my best group was 2.1 MOA, and it wasn't my first time. And I like to think I was focused and concentrating, but then again, it's hard when you look up there and that wind flag is just starched out there, and yeah, it was like my best group. I had 4 shots, and they looked on the tablet like you could put your hand over them at 1,000 yards. I mean, they were right on top of each other. And then the fifth one, and they were over off to the side of the bullseye, but they were all right there. And then my fifth shot was in the middle of the bullseye. So what gives? I tell you what gives, the wind, because those were over here to the right, and I had two MOA, two mils dialed in for wind. And when you're shooting that far and you've got that much dialed in for the wind, and it's still blowing you over there. Yeah, Jason did shoot great, Mac Man. You did too. And one of the reasons Mac Man had an advantage on us was that big old honking bullet he's throwing down there. He's shooting a 220 grain bullet out of a 300 Win Mag, so he's got more jet fuel and more mass. And he shot absolutely fabulous. But yeah, man, my little cheap 140 grain 6.5 Creedmoors, my goal was under 1 MOA at 1,000 yards. I didn't get there this time, but I will before it's over.
Yeah, all in all, I still had a wonderful time, especially with all of you. But I did leave disappointed enough that it's haunted me the last few weeks thinking about it. Just disappointed in my efforts because I know what was behind that rifle, and I just was trying all sorts of stuff. I was trying to just let the rifle kind of free rest. I was trying to put a little bit of pressure on it. I was just trying different things, and the results were just staying the same no matter what I did. So I wasn't really learning anything. And then out there at 1,000, once I moved off the steel plate and went for the target, I never touched my scope again. I should have maybe dialed it in left and right a little bit, but I was real good vertically. So I tried doing holdovers because everything was coming out to the left on me, and I tried doing a holdover and move it over, and I took a shot and it moved it about halfway the distance. And I was like, all right, this is good. So I held over a little more, took a shot, and instead of going more right, that shot ended up going back left farther than the other group. And I'm like, okay, tried that again, kind of didn't get good results. So I blame it on the wind. I just wasn't learning anything from the conditions. So I didn't touch the scope. I didn't hold over anymore. I just put every shot dead center aimed, waited and listened personally at my earphones were picking up the wind like crazy. I don't know if my batteries were getting low, but my headphones were just static as can be. And the wind about would stop. I'd stop feeling the wind at me at the bench, and my earphones would go silent. As soon as that happens, that's when I shot. I must have done 100 shots off that same routine all day. Have no idea what the wind was doing downrange. I just knew every shot that I took it like when it wasn't actually gusting on me. And that's the only thing I could do that was repeatable. So that's what it did. And because of that, I would be lined up, feel good about the shot lined up. As soon as my ears went silent and the wind stopped, I yanked that trigger. I didn't waste no time. I didn't trigger control anything. I ripped it right now as fast as that shot could go. As soon as my earmuffs went silent, and that's how I did the day. So, I got a lot to learn, a lot to try out, but I guess maybe I got to kind of learn things my own way, learn my rifle, and learn my scope myself, I guess.
Yeah, it sounds like you was rushing yourself a little bit for that certain deal, and it's hard for all of us. I mean, especially if you're under pressure and you're like waiting and waiting, and then you wait to shoot. But one thing about it is, there's a reason we have a really big front windshield in front of our vehicle and a little bitty rearview mirror. Yeah. Can't be looking back all the time.
I know we all complain about the wind, and we could blame it on the wind, but I will honestly say I was set up on my rest on the bench, dead center on the target, not wiggling around, not moving. It's locked in, ironclad, and the wind would blow me and the rifle over to the other stage target or a target and a half. So like if I was shooting on lane 6, the wind would actually blow my barrel to where my scope was looking at, station 7 or between 7 and 8 when the gusts come. So it was a little windy.
Yeah, it was so windy the same calf was born twice. Yeah, it was a fun time, but it was also challenging. And
I'd love to go down here, during the early summer, late summer, midsummer, something when the weather was a little better.
yeah, I think we can probably do that here. I know it's hot 4th of July week, but I've got that week off, so keep that in mind. There's that. I'm not like teachers. I don't get the whole summer off. I have to get in there and get things ready for when they get back. Um, you in my environment, the day after the teachers are gone, well, the day after the kids are gone, we start. But when the teachers are gone, then we really start busting hump and trying to get ready. And then you got countdown to when we call it butts in seats. And so we got this, that, and the other we have to do before all that happens. But yeah, it's a great time, Jason. I'm glad you got to come, buddy.
Man, I tell you what, I like going down there so well. A lot of the drive home, I had my eyes out everywhere for all the way into the lower part of Kentucky. I was thinking it wasn't so bad. I had my eyes open for houses and property for sale.
Don't we all do that? When we go on vacation and we have a really good time, we start trying to figure out a way we can just stay.
Oh man, I saw just cross the Tennessee border into Kentucky, where you get off of interstate and kind of get into some like actual gravel roads. I saw a place and I'm thinking, like, right there, just give me a little bit of land and a trailer, a modular, whatever. I can live right there with that hill and that mountain right behind me. I can live there forever, man. I need a mobile home, man. That would do me fine.
Yep.
I'm telling you, man, those mountains are sweet, dude. It's beautiful up there. Absolutely gorgeous.
I gotta live where I can see.
Yeah. You got to live on the mountaintop, don't you?
Heck yeah.
There's Abigail. So we had a name new to me, and let me go. I would go back, except
No up arrow.
the up arrow don't work. There was a guy that his name was new to me. I'm not saying he's never watched our show before.
Mikey?
Yes.
Yeah, he was asking about, evidently his state now has constitutional carry, and he was wanting to know if now, since they have that, does he really need to renew his concealed carry?
Yes.
Yeah, and I think somebody asked him what state he was in, and he said he was in Georgia.
Yeah.
Now here in Missouri, we don't have to. You can if you want, but you can concealed carry without it. So in Missouri,
I think it's pretty much the same everywhere.
Yeah.
But no, you're not going to get reciprocity, and you're not going to have the ability for some places. Some places want you to have the actual permit. I always tell people to keep it up if you've got it. If you don't have it, make your choice and do what you're going to do. But if you've got it, keep it up. Keep it going.
I was under the impression that some of the carry insurance companies, I've just was under the impression that some of those, the major ones, they prefer you to have your permit, and maybe the plans are maybe different or a better policy. I don't know, but if you already went and took it, you don't have to redo a course. All you have to do is renew it. By all means, do not let it run out. It, like CW said, you're going to travel to different states that will follow with you. I know here in Ohio, you don't have to do the 4473 with your carry permit. So, I mean, there's still advantages to having that.
Okay, in Georgia, and Mickey did say, Pistol Pete asked him what state, and he did say Georgia. Here in Georgia, I keep my carry permit because I can walk into a gun store and I can give them my driver's license and my permit, fill out the form, and pay my money and walk out with my gun.
Well, there's another advantage I didn't think of till lately. Actually, I'd heard it on the scanners lately. If you got your permit and you were to be pulled over for a traffic stop or something, that officer knows already. If he's called you in, he knows if you got that permit or not.
Yeah. And see,
So
they
maybe,
like your,
so maybe you get an officer, maybe a little more polite with you, maybe in some cases or something, you know.
well, they lied to us in Missouri. They said that, like a police officer wouldn't know. And, yeah, they do know when they run your tags, they know you have a gun or you have a carry concealed permit.
Well, I'll just tell you this: a month ago, uh, uh, had a shooting a couple doors down. Not, it sounds bad, a shooting. Actually, a homeowner took a shot outside at another neighbor's dog. Okay, so it was a pretty big uproar down here among neighbors, and so I turned the scanner on, and the cops, when they were down here and started talking to the neighbors, and came over to my yard and shined a flashlight stuff, they called in and requested, they wanted the names and addresses of every CCW permit holder on my street.
That's
That's
unconstitutional.
breaking. That's against the law. They shouldn't be
They
able to
did
do
it right over there. They said they wanted it because they were going door to door. That's why they came down here to me.
that. I never did get mine because of that. I still don't have it. And for one, having to drive the 40 minutes to our county seat that's out in the middle of nowhere because, I mean, really that town would dry up other than its county seat and paying the money every so often for it. And, personally, I don't have one because of that. And I'm like, they're just wanting your money. And then plus they want to know if you have a gun. And so that's personally why I don't do it.
Well, the reason I do is because that there are a lot of states that do have reciprocity with Georgia. It's like mine's good in South Carolina. South Carolina was the holdout. There's like 30 something states that my carry permit is good in their states as well. But the main reason I do is when I want to buy a gun, that permit serves as a passed form. You know, you still have to fill out the form.
Yeah, you might not have to wait 10 minutes for it to go through.
No, you don't have to wait at all. And there's a couple of guys that have very common names, and they're like uh, John Smith, for example. There's a felon out there named John Smith. Well, they have to investigate to make sure you're not the John Smith that's got the felony. So yours is held up for 3 to 10 days while they figure it out. And then, but if you've got that permit, that serves as a past background check. So you walk in, you pay your money, and you fill out the form and leave with your gun.
Yeah, no, that's how it works here in Ohio. Except if you go shopping up at the CMP, up at Camp Perry, you'll do a 4473 there, even if you got your permit or not.
Yeah, we have to do the form, and it's on a computer now.
Yeah, we do the form too, but they don't call it in or whatever, wait for an answer. You know what I mean?
Right.
Up there at the CMP, if you want to buy one of the 1911s or get a Garand or a Garand, however, it's going through the check. If it takes 15 minutes, an hour, or you get delayed or something, your permit doesn't help you up there. Something about them being a government people, they're not an FFL, but they're legally allowed to sell. Get something funny about that, but because they're not like the typical FFL at the gun store we all shop at, they don't honor your permit.
There's some weird stuff out there. Colt 1927. I thought a registration database was illegal. And Ron 2A Matters says in Indiana, there's 5 years is free. And Bama Dad says it's $7.50 a year in Alabama, $37.50 for a 5 year. Seems like ours are for 4 years, and uh, yeah, I can't remember
Mine's
if it's 3 or 4.
mine's $72, and I think it's 5 years.
That's about what mine is too. $75 for 5 years.
Yeah. Yeah. For me, I have a lot of neighboring states. I can go a lot of places and not need a concealed carry. My neighboring states and stuff. So the only advantage for me would be to not have to wait on my FFL, and it mostly only takes like 5-10 minutes tops. But I can definitely see where it's advantage for people.
Okay, Rebel, I got a question for you. If I came up to see you and you had a gun that I just couldn't live without, am I going to be able to buy it from you and bring it back home to Georgia, or do I have to buy it from you and have you to ship it to my FFL dealer?
But you can't do a handgun for sure. That has to be.
Yeah.
If you do a rifle,
But some states will allow you to do a rifle.
Yeah. Okay, it's time to call out the side chat. We're actually late. Imagine that, us being late. Let's type in, see if this meets Walter's approval. He wasn't here last week and we missed him and I had to do it on my own. How about CCW? Does that work for you, Walter?
Yeah, man, I can spell that.
Okay, type in CCW and we'll call your name out on TV. And I need my up arrow already. I'm so glad I got a mouse. Okay, that's what I thought. And I need to go up and see Mike. I hadn't seen him in quite a while. Pistol Pete is with us. He didn't type in CCW, but I understand. We got Walters in the panel on the side chat. So is CW Longshot. There's Artac and Daughters, Jason Stewart, Bama Dad, Edward Petty, 6-shooter Texan. Hey, partner. We got Hillbilly Up on the panel on the side chat. Fluffy 10mm Jeep guy, Papa's Place, Andy 79Z28, Tactical Fud, Bobby Barlow, Alaska 1 Andy, Andre D'Angelo, Walter 1927, Abigail Finnegan, Artac and Daughters, Ashley A, Mr. Bob's out there, Kyle, M. Gabriel, Jason Stewart, Vanessa Kitty, hey Miss Kitty, Michael Dunn, Mike Hester, the Rebel, Lakeview Outdoors, Dale Poe, Garage Guy, 879, Ozzy Osborne, Boomstick Revenge, there's my brother Tread, Floridian, Rich B, Mark Thomas, Pistol Pete, Colt 1927, Harm, MacMan 039 Reloading, Paul Loud, Ron 2A Matters 01 Guy, Crazy Gearhead, Paul Loud again, Dwayne 7834 Walks Fletcher, Mr. Bob, Gary Crouch, and I think that's all. So, very good. Thank all y'all for being here this evening. We appreciate each and every one of you. So, yeah. Do we want to talk about shotguns now? Or, Jason, do you have any more questions?
oh, we can get into scatter guns.
Okay. I have developed an affinity for side-by-side shotguns. And I don't really know why. I just like those old school double barrels. And CW and I were talking earlier in the week, and I have this old single shot 20 gauge that I can bust a clay pigeon with almost every single time, if not every single time. And I don't know why I shoot that thing so blame good. And I shoot the side by sides almost as good. But I had a buddy of mine that a had a over under a Ruger Red Label. If y'all know what that is, that's not a cheap gun. But I didn't shoot it near as well as I did. So what do you like? What do you don't like? And I know we hadn't heard a lot from Walter, so let's start down with Walter and work our way back if he's available.
I'm here. I haven't shot much shotgun since I moved into town 30 some years ago. I used to hunt our valley quail, and we had a few chucker here and there, a pheasant once in a while that escaped a nearby uh, uh, private hunting ranch for pheasants. But and that was an old Remington 870 Wingmaster, which I really liked that shotgun, and I sold it like a moron. I don't know why I sold that gun now when I think about it, but I really like that. You know, the pump action, easy to handle, only one barrel to worry about at a time, and one trigger. So, but when I watched CW's video that he put out this morning on that 20 gauge Zephyr Woodlander, that shotgun just, I don't know. There's something about that shotgun, that side by side, that if you guys haven't seen that video, go take a look at it. He's got a couple of them, but that 20 gauge was his dad's, and so it's real important to him. But it's a really just a kind of a beautiful old shotgun with lots of neat engraving on it, and you know, it makes me think hard about about coming up with another nice shotgun. But I doubt that I'll do it. You know, my hunting days are over, so there wouldn't be a whole lot of point. Although I could go shoot clays and whatnot here, but
They don't eat so good, but they're fun to shoot.
yeah, you need a lot of gravy with them.
You consider one for home defense, Walter?
Yeah, but yeah, I've got handguns for that. You know, it wouldn't be necessary. It'd be a good idea, but you know, I live in a condo, and right there is a young family with 2 teenagers and two babies. You know, I got to really think hard about if I'm going to do any shooting in this place.
No, a proper load of a shotgun is actually less chance of going through walls.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It would be less penetrating than virtually any handgun that I would have, I'm sure.
Yep.
You know, for
Yep.
self-defense.
Yep.
So like I said, I'd have to think hard about it. Anyway, that's where I am with it. I'm, you know, just not that much of a long gun guy.
What about you,
although
Jason?
some of the handgun patterns that you guys see me shoot, I might as well have shot a shotgun. I'd have hit the bullseye more often.
I understand that.
What about you, Jason? What's your favorite shotgun, and why, and what for, and or do you have multiples? Do you have a few for different purposes?
Well, actually, I'm kind of in the boat with Walter on the shotguns. I had a 20 gauge Stevens that I used for a lot of years. It was given to me by a family member, and it was not sure the age. It might have been a gun from the 60s or something, maybe. But everybody considered it pretty old, and it was still in good shape, and I really liked that gun. But it was just a little 20 gauge. Then I went and got a Mossberg 500 12 gauge, and the only real use for shotgun around here is deer hunting. And just be honest, man, I'm not a very big dude, pretty little dude on the weight wise, and my equilibrium's kind of damaged already. So a few shots of a shotgun actually makes me dizzy. I mean, for real dizzy in my vision and kind of nauseous. So I just got rid of that Mossberg and kind of never went and bought another shotgun. Fire them every now and then. My buddies get ready for hunting every year, and maybe out back. I'll take a few shots. I've took a few shots and it didn't really seem to bother me. But in general, there's just something about them. They're just not my thing. But the 20 gauges, I really like those. Never had a problem with them. We've had shotgun talks before, and I would like to maybe get another shotgun. If I got one, I would probably just get something for more like home defense around here. I don't know if they still make them, but I always like the Winchester Defenders. Had a little shorter barrel on them. So if I got one, I think it would just probably be for defense or something.
What about you, Mr. Mark?
Oh, I think my problem is I've never met a shotgun that I didn't like.
There you go.
I've bought a bunch and sold and traded, and I do love a single shot break action shotgun. I mean, that's what I grew up with. If I'm going to go out and walk in the woods and I don't have to worry about having a whole lot of firepower, that's my go-to. And I'd never owned a side-by-side double until a few years back. And I think kind of like Jason, I bought an old Stevens 20 gauge side-by-side, and I just love that gun. In fact, that one got me started buying more, a single shot 20 gauge. And we have a Mossberg 500. We had a Maverick 88 for a little while that got sold off. So I think I'd commented this morning on CW's video that, man, I just have fallen in love with 20 gauge. It's just the lighter recoil just feels so much better, and it's not that pounding 12 gauge. Yeah, still shoot a 12 gauge. That's just part of the game. But yeah, I've got single shots from everything from 410 all the way up to 10 gauge. I just bought another 12 gauge double barrel. I had done a short video on that, and I need to do another follow up. But I got the end filled in, the gap in the channels, and I got a nice new bead put on it. Still didn't get to shoot it yet. Maybe Sunday. And even a few semi-autos. Just like I say, I don't think I've ever met one that I didn't like, and I keep collecting them and trading them off and on.
You have a gauge you like better than others besides 20? Just the 20 is your thing?
Well, no, I like 16 as well. I have a few of those single shots, and I have a beautiful old semi-auto that was Dad's, and that's a fun one to shoot, fun one to take hunting. Don't have a lot of, I've got a pretty good supply of shells, but don't like to shoot them all up because they are not always easy to find.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Need to get myself another Lee loader with or load all 16 gauge. Probably ought to get a 12 gauge while I'm at it too.
What about you, Mike?
Oh man, I can shoot shotguns all day long. It's one of my favorite things to shoot. Clay, trap, a lot of that stuff. I have a few, and I love each and every one of them. And kind of like Mark, just really can't hardly get enough of them. Man, and Jamie, around here when you talk about side by side shotgun, that means one in each hand. That's for shooting doubles at the clay field. But single shots, semi-automatics, over and under, side by side. I ain't hardly found a bad one yet, so I just enjoy it. It's sometimes when we're out shooting we get together in the spring or fall, there'll be nothing just for me personally to shoot about 400 to 500 rounds. And come home at night and put ice on the shoulder. But it's something that I just really, really enjoy doing. I don't know. It's just something I really like. How about you, CW?
Shotguns are kind of my thing. I like you guys. I haven't found one that I haven't liked, and that includes some big 10 gauges. I've had 3 or 4 of them. We shot them for goose hunting. I had I think a 51, and that's a semi-auto 10 gauge, and that was a big gun. But it was fine to shoot. There was no problem shooting it. Single barrel H&R, single barrel Stevens. Those thump your shoulder a little bit more. They're a lot lighter. But I traded that 51 off stupidly. Wish I had it today. When they come out with the 3.5-inch 12 gauge. I don't think the 3.5 12 gauge works near as well as the 10 gauge. I did a lot better with that 10 gauge, and it's not a fit thing because it was I bought an 870, and that's my all-time favorite shotgun for defense and I guess a little bit of hunting. I do enjoy hunting with it, but I also really enjoy hunting with the side by sides. That just seems right. That barrel bent over your forearm, walking through the woods, or over your shoulder, just seems right. Just it's right. Everything is correct. Snap it closed and go to business. But defensive use, I'll take that 870 before I'll take a handgun if I have an option. There's nothing better as far as I'm concerned. You look at the big bear stuff, everybody talks about 10 millimeter and 44 Magnum and everything else. I said, I'll take a shotgun. Thank you. Defensive use of big toothy critters, 12 gauge or more is where it's at. What about you, Jamie?
I have a few. Let's see. I'm really liking that 16 gauge side by side, and of course I've got my 12 gauge coach gun, which it's a handful to shoot, man. It'll rattle the fillings in your teeth, even with just bird shot, because the thing don't weigh. It's less than 6 pounds, as you can imagine. 20-inch barrels. Let's see. I've always wanted an 870, and I have a Mossberg 500 that I use for turkey hunting. And let's see. I think that my favorite shotgun that I've ever shot, though, was I had a friend of mine from church wanted me to fix up his Browning A5, and I put all new springs and those brass fittings on the slide. If any of y'all's messed with one, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Just took it apart and cleaned it up real good, put new springs in it, oiled it up, and put those brass slides in there. And man, that thing, that's the only shotgun I've ever shot that I could hit 3 birds with at one stage in shooting skeet. But it held 3. None of the rest of the guns I have would hold 3. So, yeah. And there's that guy. Are y'all ready? Count us down, Walter.
On 3, 2, 1.
Hey,
Battle Bean.
What's up, Mario? The Battle Bean, the sexiest man on YouTube. Just ask him. Just ask him. Yeah. Let's see. I got a recently acquired 20 gauge pump. That's one of those Turkish ones. What's the name of that?
T-Sauce or
No, the one that they see you see them in Walmart all the time.
oh, Hatfield?
No. Ah. And he's so humble as well. I can't remember the brand name, but y'all would know it if I could. TriStar, that's it, Rebel. TriStar. And I really like my 16 gauge side by side is a Stevens garage guy, it's a model 5100. And Tread, if you know Classic Firearms, they got a coach gun or two for sale over there at some pretty reasonable prices. And, I was going to buy one, but I had some unexpected expenses come up this month, so we'll put that off for at least another month. They've got a Ivor Johnson hammerless coach gun for like $450. So, Classic Firearms, Tread. You can look that up and still stay on the chat, man. So, yeah. Let me see. Is there anything else? I think that's about all I got shotgun wise. I'm much more of a rifle kind of guy and getting more and more into these semi-auto handguns, which y'all know I'm a revolver lever action guy at heart because that's just the coach guns are really fun, and I will have another coach gun. Stoger makes a good one. I see 6-shooter Texan, but yeah, that A5 is hard to beat. If y'all can get yourself one of those, you'd really like an A5 if you're into the semi-autos, which some of us aren't for obvious reasons. More stuff to have to replace.
are the good, the semi-autos people talk about, the Benellis, the upper Berettas that are like that. Those more like tactical semi-auto shotguns. Would they kick less than a pump gun? The recoil.
I don't think so. I mean,
Same. Okay.
Brunelli makes a really good skeet gun, and I didn't know any difference in it. But I don't know. Mark Thomas, you had something?
Yeah, the semi-auto action will absorb a little bit of that recoil, just a little. It may or may not be noticeable depending on how recoil sensitive you are. But the pump guns and the single shots and the doubles, they're going to kick a little bit more because it's just straight back into you.
Mm-hmm. That is true. And talking my mind just went blank. What's the one where the barrel moves to help take out some recoil? The older ones.
The Widowmaker.
Yeah.
Reciprocating barrel. Was that an old Winchester?
Yeah, Winchester.
Well, maybe I ought to borrow one, try one out. Maybe just try some stuff with like buckshot or something in it. Because really, what I'm judging it on that it's too much for me is deer slug. So that's kind of going to give a kick, anyways, right? So maybe I kind of judge them unfairly. Maybe I ought to spend a little range day with just some shot. See how I like it.
Well, And also, there's a big difference, buddy, in your shells. You got high brass, 3-inch, will tear your shoulder off sometimes compared to like a bird shot, and different shells. But yeah, Browning's the other one. I think Browning has a dirt barrel supposed to absorb some of that too. The older Brownings.
Yeah, that A5 does kick, Ozark.
Yeah.
When you start talking about shotguns, one of the things that really blows me away is how you can buy a decent shotgun for $100. Like CW was saying, one of those Hatfields that fold all the way over and you can throw it in a backpack or whatever. But then you can want a really nice skeet gun, and $10,000 won't buy it. I mean, you can literally pay as much or
Oh yeah.
for shotguns.
Yeah, there's some over and unders out there. It's $20,000-$30,000 easy.
Yeah.
I told the story on here a couple times that one little shop I stopped in Rhode Island one day. They have a whole big to do. They were just opening up, just starting, and apparently it's a shooting club with a gun store, and they're a manufacturer of really fancy high end, serious high end side by sides and over unders. And I got talking to the owner and told him that I really like the 28 gauge and I really like 22 Magnum, and these are a couple calibers that gauges and calibers that I always really liked. And he said, "Oh, I got something you'll like to see." And he brought me in the back room. And it was one of those back rooms where you really should be wearing the white gloves. But he was the owner. But he picked this gun up and opened it up and cracked it open and handed it to me. And I knew right away that I was holding something that was probably more than I made in a year. And I was right. And I knew not to touch anything. So I just held the wood and looked at it. And it was a side-by-side 28 gauge with a 410 barrel in the middle. And it had engraving and it had inlays, and it was absolutely gorgeous. And it was like $180,000. A guy ran up behind me and took it out of my hand. Not took it out, but when I was done, took it out of my hands with gloves on, wiped it all off and put it back down. And that guy followed us through every gun that this guy picked up. And of course, he's the owner, so he did what he wanted, and I was with him. So, but I was just walking in off the street. I didn't know this guy from Adam, and he was a retired trooper from Rhode Island, and he showed me guns that you just never get to see. And everyone got picked up, got taken out of my hands, like very, very daintily, wiped off and put down. And it was quite an experience. But yeah, there is some serious dollars you can spend, and everybody knows the big name stuff, but this is totally custom gold inlays and engraving, just works of art, absolute works of art. You can really nerd out on shotguns, especially side by sides with frame sizes and gauges. Calibers like 410. There you can get 28 gauges on a 20 gauge frame, and 16 gauges on a 20 gauge frame, and 16 gauges on a 12 gauge frame, and some guns only come in one size frame, side by sides I'm talking about, like we'll keep talking. Coming up there in the side chat is a Model 24, and that's a Winchester Classic shotgun, but it tends to be a really big one, and it's really best in a 12 gauge because it's such a big, large frame. Where like you look at the LC Smiths, the Parkers, the boy, there's a bunch of American shotguns, and they have all different frame sizes. So you can say, that 16 gauge is too big. Well, you can look at that on a smaller frame, and it totally changes everything about the gun. So yeah, you can really nerd out on all the different, and then gauges, all the different models, and then you go with the European stuff. Lefevre is the gun I was just trying to think of. All the different European stuff that's out there. With the drillings and the walking guns and the rifle barrel on one side and the shotgun barrel on the other, and just crazy, beautiful stuff. You throw the lever to the rifle barrel and rifle sights pop up out of the rib, literally jump up out of the rib. That's what that 22 Magnum gun did. Just beautiful, beautiful works of art.
If you could afford $100,000 for a firearm like that, would you shoot it? I don't know if I'd even want to display it on a wall. I'd be chicken to have anybody even look at it.
I'd shoot it, but if you can afford to buy it, it's a different story.
I guess so. Yeah.
If you just want it as something to achieve and buy and look at and hold it, put it up on an altar, and I don't know, that's not me. I got turned on to the 28 gauge kind of later in my hunting life, and I really fell hard for that. That's the 28 gauge is just it. You kind of look at it without knowing, and you figure, it's like a 410. It's no big deal. But that darn thing is something else. You can get 1 ounce loads in it. The regular load is 3/4, but you can shoot more. It'll shoot 7/8 ounce. It'll shoot 1 ounce, and it patterns so good. And if you start looking at it, you find out that more people have shot their first perfect scores in skeet with a 28 gauge than any other gauge, any other size. It's because it shoots so well. It's got a lot of shot for its size. It patterns well. It doesn't recoil hard. It's just got a lot going for it, and it shows in how well people can shoot it.
I just Googled, Jason, about the 12 gauge shotguns with the last recoil, and they're saying the Remington Versamax. I've not shot one of those, but that's what Google says.
Check that out. Never heard of it. Don't know exactly what that is, but I'll go look at that. I was actually just opened up a page at I was looking at Ithaca shotguns.
Oh man.
And then I got distracted by the Ithaca 1911s that I'm looking at.
Ithaca is probably it's one of my favorite guns.
Really? They're like 15 minutes from me.
Okay. Yeah, there's some awful nice side-by-sides out there for not a whole lot of money. I think particularly shotguns, not only is the price range so great, but I think you really see a difference in what you pay for them. I think you do get what you pay for in shotguns more than anything else probably out there.
Yeah, but I mean, you take that, like, say, for instance, the Maverick 88, pretty decent gun. It takes only just a few seconds to swap out the barrels from a long barrel to a short one. And it's very versatile. It's kind of like, almost like I would want to say, like the Glock 3 of pistols. There's so many accessories, so much stuff for it. And they're not that expensive.
No, they're not. There's Hasbro. Good evening, sir. Hope you're feeling better, man.
Yeah, I just got a package in the mail from Hasbro. I'm really excited.
Uh-oh. He always sends some good ones.
Yeah, he does.
Good, Hasbro. He says he's getting better every day. That's a blessing. And one of the things I think when people ask about what they need for home defense, I think that one of those short barreled pump shotguns are awful hard to beat for home defense. Kind of like what CW was saying. And maybe even if it's not that short a barrel. You ain't right about my dad. That's why I like you, brother.
All right.
Yeah.
I went and checked out the Remington Versa Max. And
No.
in their description, it says reduces recoil to that of a 20 gauge. But it looks fairly expensive.
Well, I'll tell you a quick story about those, and I probably shouldn't say this on this format, but used to before COVID, we had a men's ministry skeet shoot for our church every year, and I went for 4 or 5 years in a row. One of the guys there had a brand new Remington Versamax fresh out of the box, and he didn't get through a box of shells till the thing was coming apart. We put it all back together and was hoping that we got the pieces and parts in the right place. And
Oh man,
that I would stay away from that based on that experience. But that's my experience. I'm sure there's a lot of folks had great luck with them.
yeah, I've never got one.
I'll probably just shy away from thinking about this. Honestly, due to the price. I just saw some nice ones at Ithaca that were fairly cheaper than this. They're wanting $1,200 for a Versamax.
Oh wow, dang!
The synthetic stock too. So
Yeah. See, that's what I don't like about that TriStar I have, Jason. It's a black plastic stock. I mean, it's heavy, it's balanced great, but if I'm paying over $300 or $400 for a shotgun, I'm expecting some decent wood.
Yeah, I wouldn't take $1,200 for my F gun. No, it didn't cost anywhere clear near that.
Colt 1927's got the answer to your Remington Versamax issue.
I'll tighten everything up right there.
Then after you do that, go get you a 2-pound jug of tannerite, mix it up, and then break that thing down in pieces and put it on top of that jug, and then step back and shoot the thing with a 270 Winchester and see if you can find all the pieces.
Vanessa, I wouldn't do it. Not with a bad shoulder. I got good shoulders and it hurts. MC's right. A single shot 10 gauge feels like a car crash.
It does.
Oh man,
There's two things that happened this week. A little change of subject really quick, but James brings up one is a guy in Indiana bought the rights for Thompson Center. So we're going to see more Thompson Center again.
Oh, good.
Now, SSK picked up the rights for the Contender frames, and they've been making frames for a while. So I don't know exactly what was bought, what entails, what happened there. I got a feeling that we're going to see black powder stuff before we see anything else there. But it is good news for TC guys because there's been a lacking of that quality of I won't say firearm, but weapon for sure. And the other news is RCBS was sold to Hodgdon this week.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
So that's
Okay.
that's pretty good. It's what can you do? I mean, at least it's staying in the country. It's not what happened to the handgun industry there with the Korean buying all the handgun
Yeah.
caliber stuff up. So I don't know. We'll see what happens with it. I hope
Yeah.
no big changes. I know RCBS is a big name everybody knows and respects in the industry. So let's hope that they maintain that. But Hodgson has been around, so they're not a new company. So hopefully things are good.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm kind of partial, Jason, but on your shotguns, for me, I would tell anybody finding just the older Remington 870 pump or an Ithaca, and of course your Brownings and stuff's nice too, but you're gonna pay a lot more money for them.
If it was so fine, how come you got to remind everybody, Raj? Everybody would know this already.
He just wants to see that smile on Jamie's face.
Colt, that's one of the things that makes it so hard for to make a double barrel side by side is getting the aim point, get them to shoot at the same spot. Is what I've heard.
Yep, regulation.
Just put 2 red dots on it.
Yeah, I know, man. You can get those. You can get those foreign made shotgun primers just about anywhere for cheaper than you can get uh, metallic primers. That's for sure. And James,
Exactly. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to say that CZ is selling some awful nice double barrels at reasonable prices, and I'm sure they come from Turkey.
I was going to say you're 100% right, Bama Dad, about Bass Pro.
Well, Michael Dunn, I'm going to tell you something. Those over unders are, they seem to be easier to get to shoot at the same spot than the side by sides. But you can spend a whole lot of money on an over under shotgun. I ain't kidding.
Yeah. And I'm not taking anything away from the side by side, but most usually the guys that's got the money, they buy the over unders. I think for that reason, maybe. I don't know. Unless you jump way, way, way up there. Yeah.
See, man, a lot of the shotgun manufacturers are going to tell you just the opposite, though, Mike. They're going to void your warranty if they catch you shooting double aught buckshot or slugs, particularly in a full choke.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, Colt. $2,700 is. Yeah, and one of the things CW and I were talking about earlier this week is how we both agreed that we shoot a side by side better than we do an over under. And you think
Really?
that, and then you take this comment from Walks, same sight plane. Yeah, you would
Yeah.
think it'd be easier to shoot.
Yeah, I choose over under better than I can side by side on skeet.
I think the biggest handicap with side by side is just people's brains. They look at them and say, "How does this work? You know, what am I shooting? Which barrel do I aim with?" I think it's all a head game, because
Yeah.
I don't think about it. I don't think about it at all.
Well, to be fair, I do close my eyes and pull the trigger, but I just get it somewhere in the point of the clay and just close my eyes and wish. Yeah, I think with clay shooting, I mean, there's talent definitely that comes along with it, but having somebody to kind of give you some good pointers, as you're going along, it makes all the difference in the world.
Well, they've got a bead on them, but you point a shotgun, you don't aim it, and your rear sight is basically your eyeball. So if that shotgun doesn't fit you, you're not going to shoot it straight. It's as plain as that. If it doesn't fit you consistently, properly, you're going to shoot right, left, up, or down. It's just the way it is.
Michael done more than sighting in a shotgun. Period. Side by side, over under, semi, single shot, whatever. You're wanting you wanting your pattern for that particular shot shell and that particular gun. And then if you hand load shot shells, then you can make adjustments. Yeah, you just point your shotgun.
Yeah, the only time you really aim a shotgun is with turkey hunting, when you got guys using scopes on them now and red dots. Those are getting aimed. But wing shooting, yeah, you don't aim a shotgun, you point it, and it needs to fit you.
Yeah, I mean, bird hunting, like turkey hunting or whatever. You're wanting to aim for the head so you don't have as much lead in BBs in your meat, and so there's that. But
There's MCK. What's up, Mock?
Hello, Mark.
Yeah, you want to pattern that shotgun and see where the more concentration of your shot is landing. What distance do they do that at? More about 20 yards, 30 yards, 20.
Patterning?
Yeah.
Patterning, you do at whatever range that you're intending on having your target at. And it's not so much for aiming, it's more for pattern density, because just like a rifle, shotguns have preferred loads as well. Even though they're just a cylinder tube, they're going to shoot certain kinds of shells rather, better patterns. Sometimes you can have crazy things happen, like donut patterns. You can literally have no shot in the middle and a ring of shot coming out of your gun. You can literally have things like that happen, and it's changed by shot size, velocity, shot cup, wad pressure. I mean, all different kinds of things change it with shotgun shells. Not so unlike you do with a rifle, but like barrels, crossing barrels and things. Usually, most of them that's at 40 yards.
Yeah,
that's probably what you're thinking, Jamie. Except for the 410. The 410 is usually at 20 yards.
Yeah,
25.
When
yards,
we had the turkey hunts, when you had the pattern shot, and whoever had the most BBs inside, they did it at 25 yards. I don't know what the reason was, but it was always at 25 yards.
Mike Hester said he always did his at 40, and I see the point. You you want to see where it's what it's going to do at the range you're expecting to be shooting at. But uh, shooting sporting clays and stuff like that can be uh,
Yeah, 30 inch circle was always the magic number, and whatever that fell at was your choke, your choke range for your gun. So it was 30-inch circle is going to be farther away with a fuller choke and closer up with a more open choke. But that's largely changed, and you don't hear so much about it because now we've got non-toxic shot requirements and steel shot and bismuth and all these other tungsten, all these other shots. And basically what's happening is these hard shots, these really hard pellets that we're forced to use, pattern really, really well. They're much tighter. And the reason for that is lead shot deforms, and deformed or non-spherical shot with flat sides on it grabs the wind and goes off on its own way. When you've got a true sphere, it's going to be as straight and true as it can be out of a smoothbore. So you'll find that harder shots, these steel shots and these tungsten shots, are holding tighter patterns with more open chokes. With the case of steel, they're a lot faster. So the velocities are wicked high compared to lead shot. But because of that, they slow down faster. So your leads are less up close, but more farther away. And you can't shoot quite as far because they don't have the energy per pellet carrying in steel shot. You have to go up in size. So if you always used, let's say, 4s for ducks, you would probably go to 2s to get the same performance because of the lightness of the shot. And what we're seeing now with the tungsten, and there's a bunch of videos here on YouTube of guys doing this. You hear about 410s now, or the thing for turkey hunting. And how do you do that? A 410. I mean, goodness. What I always tell people, I get a big kick out of doing this, is shot doesn't know what gauge or caliber it came out of. And it's doing 1,200 feet per second. All it knows is how many buddies it brought along for the ride. So if you're shooting a number 4 shot in a 410 or number 4 shot in a 10 gauge, they're both doing 12, 1250, 13, 1175. They're all doing the same velocity. They just don't have as many buddies with them.
Yeah.
When you go to these tungsten shots, it's very dense, very heavy, and you can actually use a much smaller shot size and carry energy and have penetration farther than you would with lead. So you take that up in bigger shots, like you go with, let's just say number 4 12 gauge in tungsten. You can shoot patterns with that at like 80 yards and get more penetration than you would with the same shot size at like 50 yards with lead. It's nuts. It's crazy, the power per pellet that this tungsten has. And that's why you see guys are able to kill turkeys effectively at 40 yards with a 410 with number 9 shot.
Mm-hmm.
Because that number 9 shot has enough density, weight, energy per pellet to penetrate and kill at those ranges. And with number 9, you get a much denser shot pattern. So you get more buddies.
When's Andy going to come out with zinc shotgun shells?
There you go. But yeah, that's the downfall. What Mike's comment there is, where is it? There it is. And that's cheap. You can be up $10, $12 a shell. It's expensive. But with turkeys, it's okay. It's not okay. But you know what I mean. It's easier to swallow because you're going to take one shot and get one bird. You take tungsten duck hunting. That's a mortgage.
yeah.
Shells, So,
Yeah, it's you shoot a lot, dove hunting and duck hunting. I had a buddy in CMA, and I told him I was a deer hunter, and he's like, I don't know how you can stand there, how you can do that. I'm like, what do you mean? He says, I love hunting. He says, but I'm a duck hunter. He says, we we shoot a lot, and we don't have to be still and quiet like you guys do. And I'm like, yeah, but when that oak tree of a head comes coming through the woods, man, it's an awesome feeling, man. There's just nothing like it. I'm telling you. Except for our verse of the week. Y'all ready to hear the verse of the week?
It's time.
Yep.
It is
Boy.
time. So
Only thing funner than shooting deer is shooting hard seltzer.
I would respectfully disagree, sir, because the deer eat a whole lot better than a hard seltzer can does.
Okay, yeah, you got me there. I agree.
Yeah, let's take this down. All right, here we go. Y'all know we've been going through the Sermon on the Mount, and we're up to Matthew chapter 6, 19 through 21 tonight. And this is a very simple concept, and it's nothing that you guys don't already know. So, do not lay up for yourself treasures on earth where moth and rust destroy and where thieves break in and steal, but lay up for yourself treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust destroys and where thieves do not break in and steal. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. So what we're looking at here is covetousness and materialism.
Mm-hmm.
So ancient Greeks there actually said, "Do not treasure for yourself treasures on earth. Earthly treasures are temporary and they fade away." Like me and Colt 1927 was talking about earlier. We keep a oilcloth around when our friends come to look at our guns. And it's not that our earthly treasures are bad. We all know there's nothing wrong with our guns or our motorcycles or our cars or anything like that, but they wear out. The ultimate value is just not there. And so when we lay up for ourselves treasures on earth, we doom ourselves to a life of frustration and emptiness. Regarding material things, the secret to happiness is not more, it's contentment. So it's easier to be contented than, and let me find that verse. Um, Godliness and contentment equals great gain. So they did a survey back in 1992 about how much would quote unquote the American dream cost you to get to the American dream. So back in 92, the people that they surveyed who made $25,000 a year or less, they said that they would need around $54,000 a year and they could get the American dream. But when they talked to these people who were making $100,000 a year in 1992, they said if they made $192,000 a year, that they could have the American dream. So what we're basically seeing is anybody that you ask what it would cost to achieve the quote unquote American dream, it basically doubles their income. And that verse, the Apostle Paul wrote in 1 Timothy 6:6. Now godliness with contentment is great gain. And in contrast to that, heavenly treasures are everlasting and incorruptible. They give enjoyment now and the in our life to come. And the presence of a holy God. So, and I know y'all have all heard this, that there's no U-Haul truck coming behind a hearse. You can't take it with you. Somewhere in the Bible it's written that into this world you came with nothing and naked, and you will leave with nothing. And why should we lay up treasures for ourselves in heaven? Because we're going to need those treasures in heaven. And if for no other reason, to lay them at the feet of the Savior as an act of worship.
Yeah. Kind of like the boy that the millionaire back in the day, he said he in his will he didn't leave any money to his wife or children or anything, so he wanted all his money buried with him. So his wife wrote him a check and put it in the coffin with him.
Smart girl.
I like that. Yeah, I want y'all to think about that statement right there. How many times have you really, 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 really wanted a new gun? For example, I really, 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 really wanted a Marlin 44 Magnum lever action. Well, I got it. My life didn't change. I'm still me. I still go to work every day. I mean, it didn't change my life. It just makes me start looking for what's the next gun I can't freaking live without.
I don't look at that as coveting, though. Maybe
You
I'm
still
wrong.
put your pants on the same way every morning?
Coveting to
Every
me
day.
is a different definition than the want of a material item. That's not coveting to me. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's not how I look at it.
What is your idea of coveting?
The Lord, what I have for the Lord, what I have for my wife, family, friends. That's more. That's a higher level. That's just a material item. I like to a firearm is a material item I'd like to have to enjoy myself with. It's not. Like I said, maybe my definition is not correct, but that's how I overlooked at it.
One of the 10 Commandments is "Thou shalt not covet," and to me that means the lust of the eye, the lust of the flesh, and the pride of life, as we read in.
Covet thy neighbor's wife type of thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
That's what I mean.
So, me wanting that 44 Magnum lever action was not a bad thing in itself, but if Walter had one and I wanted his and I was willing to knock him in the head to take it, then that's a whole different level of sin.
Yes, sir.
Me wanting it because it's his is one thing. Yeah. That was the first wrong, me wanting it because he had it. If he had one and he'd let me shoot it, and I'm like, man, I'm gonna get me one of those. That's okay. But when you start plotting about how I can get it, well, you go to work and you save up your money until you got enough money to pay for it, and then you hope the gun store's got one. So yeah, that's
how it's supposed to work.
yeah. But Walter, you also know that I saved up for months to have that money. And then when I
you did.
the money, the gun store didn't have the gun. And I waited and waited on that. But yeah,
Yeah, you're totally right on that, Jamie. I had a grandmother one time, my cousin, he had got a newer bike. I don't even think it was new. It was a bicycle. We were young. And I told my grandma, I said, man, I'd really like to have his bike. She goes, so you mean you would take his bike away from him and not have anything? I'm like, well, no. She goes, well, then you would like to have a bike like his. I'm like, yeah. And she goes, so think about what you're saying. And that's something that's always stuck in my mind.
Yeah, that's a good thought, Hillbilly. Before you start, driving yourself nuts, wishing you had something that somebody else has just because they have it and they look like they're having fun. But take some time to think about what is important to you, and is it something you really need, and that's not always a good question either. Sometimes we get things just because we do want them, but if it's because somebody else has it, you say, look at that gun that so and so has, and how well it shoots for him. I'm going to get me a gun just like that, or that guy might be a 47 times better shot than you, and that's why he's shooting that gun so well. Take some time to think over what your wants are. Do you really want this because you think it's going to make you a better person, or do you think you're just, would you like to have it because you think you can have fun with it also? So there's a piece of this whole thing that that needs to fit into that little corner as well, I think.
Come on, Curtis. Don't make me think, buddy. That's above my pay grade.
Yeah, Curtis.
Yeah, so basically, coveting is a strong desire, then, right? But when it's for something that don't belong to you, or something that belongs to somebody else, like the Bible says, your neighbor's wife, your neighbor's horse, your mule, whatever. So yeah.
Yeah, that's the sinful part of it.
Well, let's look at a biblical example. King David.
Yeah. Good example.
But if he coveted his neighbor's wife because he wasn't with his buddy out there on the battlefield where he was supposed to be. If he'd been taking care of his own business, that wouldn't have been a problem. Right?
Look who's back. Yeah,
Man.
absolutely.
He didn't handle that whole situation good at all either.
No, he wasn't much of a strategist.
All right.
Well, send me to the front line.
This is my favorite part of that story, and I know I'm preaching, and I'll shut up. So he goes and he gets Uriah the Hittite to come back, and he wants him to sleep with his wife Bathsheba, so that he can blame her pregnancy on her husband. And so he gets him drunk and tells him to go home, and he says, and he leaves, and he goes and sleeps out on the front porch because he didn't want to have the comfort of his wife or his home or his bed, because his friends were out there on the battlefield, fighting and risking their lives for the kingdom. And there was a very famous preacher was talking about that. See, David did him that way 2 nights in a row, and when he wouldn't go in and sleep with his wife, then he sent him to the battlefield, and he told the guys that were there, his general told him to put him on the front line and then withdraw. So, in other words, he gave the order to have Uriah the Hittite killed in battle. Well, when we think about this story, a very famous preacher once said Uriah the Hittite was a better man drunk than King David, a man after God's own heart, was sober. But he was drunk with lust, which made it worse than drunk being with alcohol. And that's the end of my sermon for the night.
Yeah. And the story of King David is such a good story. It has. If it was made into a movie, it'd be a blockbuster hit of all times. Everything's in that story, pretty much.
When I study the Old Testament, I think, man, that would make a great movie. Look, how intense is that? That's just so, man. The Old Testament, people make fun of me for reading and studying the Old Testament. I'm telling you, guys, that's great literature. I mean, you know, Stephen King couldn't come up with some of that stuff, you know?
That's how I got one of my younger nephews interested in reading the Bible. I was telling him a story about this guy. I was like, yeah, I said, you know, the main guy is trying to kill him. He had to flee every time he'd seen like the king would try to kill him. He went and lived in the cave. I was just telling him the whole story. I was like, there's swords. And he had a chance to even kill this guy that's trying to kill him, but he didn't do it. And so I was kind of briefly going through this. And I was like, isn't this a cool story? I was like, or I told him, I think this is cool. I was like, you want to hear all the rest of it? And he's like, yeah, tell me. I was like, it's the story of King David. And that kid was hooked because he was into swords and all that stuff. I mean,
I can't ever hear that story without thinking of one of my old coworkers. She's retired now. She had a pair of goats, a male and a female, named David and Bathsheba.
Oh, that's awesome.
They called
That's
that
awesome.
Bathsheba, and that was the story. She brought them home in her BMW in the trunk.
Wow. And by my dad, it was the extent of David's repentance, but that repentance, King David paid a mighty price for that. And yeah, he was a man after God's own heart, even after, during and after his sin with Bathsheba and Uriah the Hittite. So, yeah, King David is an awesome study. There's, especially for you ladies out there, Beth Moore has a Bible study about a heart like his. It's a story about the story of King David. Look it up. You can probably get it on Amazon. But I recommend it for anybody, but especially the ladies, because Beth Moore wrote it. So, and with that, it's probably time we start going through the room, isn't it?
It is. We got 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Billy, you go first. You may have to go help out Gizzard Gary, and get him picked up over there.
Oh yeah. Well, first of all, I want to thank you guys for having me on here. I really appreciate it. Always a great way to start off my weekend. I love it. I enjoy it each and every weekend. And the panel, the side chat, you guys are just totally awesome. Yeah, Lizard Larry, Gizzard Gary, whichever one you want to call him. He's coming up next, and I will drop a link in here for his show. So make sure you come check him out also. And then actually right after him, you have G-Webs coming on with the weekly 2A wrap-up. Talks about everything this week that's gone on, not everything, but as much as he can of the 2A stuff, news and stuff. Great deal there too. Saturday night, tomorrow night, 9:00 Central, 10:00 Eastern. We had Guns, Beer, and Therapy. And so if you get a chance to make it there, we'd sure love to have you. And I appreciate it. And for anybody out there that's not heard the story of King David, please go check it out. I mean, it's just awesome. Thank you so much for having me, guys.
Hey, man, thanks for being here. You stay as long as you want, and then when you got to go, just slip on out the side door like friends do. So, yeah, let's see. King David is First and Second Samuel, First Kings, and First Chronicles, I believe.
Yeah.
So, there's
It's not
that.
first and second kings. It's only first kings.
Maybe both of them,
Yeah, I think it is both of them.
but it goes on for quite a while. And Chronicles goes on uh, the whole line of the kings after King Solomon, who was David's son, and his mother was Bathsheba. So there's that. So yeah. So we got a lot of folks signing off. Y'all have a good weekend, and glad y'all were here. Particularly 6-shooter Texan said good night, and Colt 1927. So Pat in the bunker, where you been, man?
He said he
muted,
lost
Pat.
power.
Man,
No.
I lost power earlier, and we had a bunch of storm damage come storms roll through, and trees galore on everything, and they had to shut the line down to get my mom and dad just down the road about here, about a mile back up. A lot of poles and stuff snapped, and so yeah, so they had to shut us all down to do all that stuff, and yeah, just getting ready for the next one that's rolling in here in probably about another hour. So, but no, what's up, Mark?
You and the family be safe, Pat.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, we will. And that's what I was while I was off air. I was just concentrating on trying to get stuff ready for the storm. Again, we've had generators out running and everything, so just rechecking all the generators at the feed yard, my mom and dad's, and here, and yeah. So it's been busy since I got off because I was like, well, maybe I'll just go run around and go check everything again. But no, thanks for having me on. Even though I got back on really late, I did get to the verse of the week. So thank you for that, Jamie. I appreciate that, as always. And yeah, just thanks for everybody for being here. Like I said, this is my new home for Friday night. It's definitely a good way to kick off the weekend, whether you're working or whether you're relaxing. It's definitely a good place to be, and I feel right at home here. So thank you all for making me feel that way. I appreciate it.
Glad to have you, brother.
Good to
Sorry
have you.
power went out, and keep your head on a swivel, buddy. Watch those storms and know that it'll be here in a day and a half, 2 days. So
Yep. Yes, sir. Thank you.
who wants to go next? Mark Thomas?
Sure, I'll go next. Well, let's start off with just a thank you for having me. Sorry I was a little bit late, but doing family things. Been an awesome chat. Been lots of fun with all of us and lots of fun with the side chat. Not sure exactly what have coming up. Might try to get down to the range if we can this weekend. Try out some of those new shotguns, and I got some bullets from CW to try out, and plenty of stuff to take care of me. I've been working on a project on the old green Jeep. The rear shock mounts just busted right off the upper mounts. So most of my free time the last week or two has been underneath that thing, cutting and grinding and welding. And I'm not that good of a welder, but hopefully everything's going to hold. So I do have a video coming about that. I've been shooting a little bit here and there. You'll get to see some of my horrible welding and just other things that I do besides leather and shooting and running with the sun. So after we're signed off here, I'm going to go start putting stuff together. We're heading out to play airsoft tomorrow. And I think Sunday's finally going to be a good day for us to get some rest because it's going to be raining here. So thank you all. Thanks for having me. Great night.
Thanks for being here, man. We appreciate you taking time to join us.
Love being here.
And I can't wait to see you weld a Jeep. That's awesome.
Yeah. Look like some chicken scratches. That's how mine looks like sometimes.
Pardon my French, but it looks like turkey shit.
Slightly
Nice, Mark. Nice.
Slightly less than stacking dimes, huh?
The bigger the gob, the better the job.
Nice.
So, Jason Stewart, you were doing anything, man? We appreciate you being with us and having some questions for us tonight.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I want to tell Pat, man, I hope you can stay safe. I hope the worst is behind you already. But yeah, man, really enjoy you guys. Really had a good time tonight. Great conversations about everything. I don't just appreciate you, I love you. But if you'd let me screen share something real quick.
Yeah, man.
I just came across this in my email. Did it share yet?
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay, this looks like the chromachrome, but it's in gold. So I thought that was interesting. I might buy some of this and try this out. I just got an email, said it was new.
It'd be cool if it'll go well.
Yeah, if
Well,
it's as good as chromachrome, it'll be a good one.
It says this is a rich chrome-like illusion, gold coating with a smooth reflective finish. So just thought I'd share that.
That's all right, man. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, but always, appreciated being here. Had a great time, great conversation. Actually wrote down to look up a little bit of the King David story, and I wrote down where to look. You said 1st and 2nd Kings, so I actually made a little note on that, man. Maybe a little special nudging. Wasn't but a few weeks ago. I saw a pretty long day documentaries about stuff, and they spent a lot of time on David. So maybe it kind of sparked me to go read that.
Yeah, to get the full story, you need to start in 1st and 2nd Samuel.
Yeah, Samuel. And
okay.
I'll tell you this, Jason. I hope I'm not taking up too much time, but the dude was such a leader that he said one time while they was out in the in the caves or whatever, man, I'd sure love to have a drink of water from that little well in my hometown, which was taken over now. And 3 of his men went out that night and battled the army with just the 3 of them to get him a cup of water. That's what the kind of leader this guy was. He didn't ask them to; they just did it.
And what did he do with it when he got it?
Well, Jason's gonna have to read to find out.
Good answer. Mr. Walter, what you got coming up, bud?
Well, let's see. Over on the Rumble channel, I had a video that went out today with some 41 Magnum stuff that didn't go all that well, but the video's there anyway. And come Monday, we'll have the next piece of the 45 ACP 230 grain What Can I Use Lee's Data Table for series. And we got a little bit of rain maybe due tomorrow. I've got a whole bunch of loading that I need to get done, and I got to get some casting done. I'm going to try to get that done this weekend. I need to make that 9mm bullet and a 40 Smith & Wesson bullet, and then rinse and repeat. I'm happy to be here. I always appreciate the invitation to come and participate with you folks, and you know what I think about the side chat over here. Those are part of our family, and it's good to see everybody on a Friday night staying out of trouble and coming in here and enjoying life with us for a couple of hours. So thanks again for letting me participate in this. It's a big deal for me. It really is.
Amen, brother. Thank you for being here. We sure did miss you last weekend. And glad you had a good time. Glad you're home safe.
Thank you.
So, that dog's about in a coma, wasn't it?
Pretty close. We were outside and I was throwing the ball in between getting working on generators and stuff, and she was in the pickup in and out with me. So yeah, she's my companion. She's my road dog. I love her to death.
So when he said that, that's exactly what came to my mind, Mark Thomas. One of the first songs I learned to play on guitar way back in the day. Mr. CW, what you got coming up for us, brother?
I have a video dropping, I believe, tomorrow, starting a new series, a little mini series on the 3006. So look forward to that. I got some loading starting, and I'm looking for some input from you guys as to what I'm going to load, what we're going to do, where we're going to go with it. So we'll see how that goes. First time I've really done stuff like that, looking for input from all of you guys. So we'll see how that does. I got a number of different videos going on. I'm making them all the time. So I got videos in queue up to the end of the month already. So video a day is continuing for the immediate future. I got a range trip tomorrow. I got some maintenance to help on. We got our summer league starting up, and we've got to make sure we've got target frames and stanchions, and our line is safe and going to be able to take all the people we're proposed to have. So that'll be good. I haven't been involved with that in 2 years. I used to do a lot with that, and because of all the stuff going on in my life, I had to back away for a couple of years. So it'll be good to get back to that. And I still got some more loads to work out. I got some 8mm stuff. I'm working on stocks and bedding and pillar bedding and glass bedding, and I just pulled another one out of the stock this morning. So I got a lot of that videos on that kind of stuff coming up. I got 2 scopes headed in next week. I'll have videos on that coming up. We got a lot of stuff going on. So hopefully all you guys find it interesting. I've been getting some pretty good feedback. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. I hope you can all stop in and see, and I hope you all enjoy it.
I'm sure we will. I'm trying to get caught up. I've been watching a good many of your videos, but I can't comment on them at work sometimes because that's the way they do you. Anyway, guys, we appreciate everybody joining us this evening, and I'll try to do a video this week if I can. And Glenn Davis wants to know what your channel name is on Rumble, Walter.
Oh, it's just my name. It's like this.
Yeah, if you
Glenn.
type something in, I'll put your link in there. I've been looking for your last deals.
Yeah, if you go to rumble.com and type in my name, Walter Bunning, all run together like that, you'll find it.
So,
and the crappy shooting was all Chapin's fault. I'm blaming it all on him.
Well, Walks, we wouldn't have your favorite without the 3006, so I guess it is okay.
Yeah, that's good. I love 3006. So there's the link to Walter, I believe.
Thanks, Hillbilly.
That's YouTube, but the 41 stuff was on the Rumble channel.
Yeah, but you have links on your YouTube, right? To go
no.
to. Oh, you don't? Okay.
Yeah, it's verboten. We can't put a live link to an outside venue that supports content that violates YouTube's stuff. So I usually just say on my videos on YouTube, hey, type this in. Here's my channel name, and go over there and find it. A police report about a motorcycle crash. Yeah, that was me.
Yeah,
that was my wreck.
But yeah, if you go on the Rumble and type his name in, you can find it.
Yep.
I looked through my email to see if I had it, and I couldn't find it on my email.
See if I can bring it up.
I'm trying to get it over there before I tell everybody bye, but I ain't gonna make it. So,
good night, Sergeant Master Bulldog.
Thank you, Bulldog.
Yeah. That link should work right there, guys.
Master Sergeant. Sorry.
Cool. All right. So, yeah, I'll be looking at some 30-06 stuff. I might even join along and get out some of my 30-06 stuff. So, we lost somebody. We lost Hillbilly. All right. Guys, thank you for being here. Thank you for listening to the verse of the week. I know a lot of people love it. I know some people not so much. We real miss Gene tonight. I sent him a text. Hopefully everything's okay, and he'll be back next week. And other than that, man, thank y'all for being here. We hope the Lord blesses y'all real good. And if he's willing, we'll see you next Friday night at 8 o'clock. Say good night, y'all.